Halito, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back. This is CT over at the NYC Indian. How's everybody doing today? Did you guys catch our favorite Married at First Sight last night? All right. Okay. I'm just going to say it. They did not give us what they've been spoiling for us in these previous episodes previews. So I'm not sure what's going on. Hopefully they'll kind of get that together. Hopefully you guys can see me. I don't know if you can, if the chat is open at this moment or not. I'm trying to sync my stuff. Anyway, listen, if you guys send me a chat and I can't, and I haven't responded, it's because still trying to get my system set up here. Anyway, so let's get started. All right, so how is everybody? Did you guys watch it? All right, so we're gonna start off the episode with, I need to look up here, sorry. I'm not used to this, right? I'm used to like my little Mickey Mouse peanut setup, right? Trying to be cute over here. So we start off with Shaquille. So Kirsten and Shaquille go together to one of her listings because, she is a real estate agent and, she wants to show him a home and, she's really excited about it. Now, this particular house is like, I don't know, two something point million, very expensive, right? I think a little bit out of his price range, okay, if it's safe to say. So when they get inside the house and she's showing him around and everything, she says to him, so do you think that you are ready for, possibly buying a house and, taking that next step? And he's like, yeah, sure. But you're the realtor. You'd know more about that than I would, because like, obviously he's not in the, I guess he's currently not in the process of looking. Now, one thing about Shaquille, he's juggling a lot right now because of his job. He's trying to finish school and a new marriage, right? And, I wonder sometimes if those are always the best times to, do something like an experiment like this. I feel like it's kind of a lot. I don't know. I feel like maybe it's better when you're finished with school at least, right? Because there's enough that you have to juggle and trying to get to know this person, and it just like splits up your schedule, unless he's going to school like maybe 2 nights a week or something, and maybe he is, I don't know. But she was complaining that he's not spending enough time at home. He's always out, he comes home late. So so basically when she says, well, I can tell you about the market, but the market is hot right now. And he's like, oh, well, you mean like you expect me to buy you a house like right now? Like you who, was like relegated me over to the forehead kisses only station for like, what percentage of this particular procedure, this experiment, you were so slow to warm up and stuff like that. And I think that's where some of that is coming from. But I think the other part of it is that, let's say that they were able to get things jumped off from the very beginning. I think he would have still had a hard time with her saying, hey, I want you to buy a house. Now, she didn't say that he has to buy a $2 million home, but she expects him to buy her a house. So I feel as though, again, I don't want to always seem like, it's always both sides, but a lot of times there's a little bit of both, right? And I think if she would have just warmed up a little bit better from the beginning, which, I guess she couldn't help it. Chemistry is chemistry, right? So whatever. But, I don't know. He seems to be feeling as though she just expects a lot from him, and I disagree. I disagree with that. But we'll move on because his face was like, you want me to buy you a what? Like, okay, and it seemed to be like that was the last thing on his mind. Now, had he have been thinking about more like long term, was that never in your plan at all? Were you always expecting like to kind of stay, status quo? I don't know. I don't know what his expectations were, but she definitely laid hers out last night, honey. We got a taste of that. So, now he's all upset and she's giving like this little creepy giggle, this little cackle, like, yes, you must buy me a home. And I'm like, well, I understand that. So now we're with Jasmine and her friend Nikki, who is also a coach, in that gymnastics or cheerleading world. And she's telling her about how the marriage is going. Obviously it's sour. She really has nothing to say, and she thinks she just needs more time. And I'm like, Jasmine girl, listen, guys, Jasmine got her new smile, Who knows? Does she have a new boo? Who knows? Who knows? I don't know if they're still together or not. I hope not at this point. But yeah, so Chris and Nicole. Chris and Nicole, they go to this Italian deli and she's feeling very nostalgic because she feels like, this is like what I grew up with, New York. We have a lot of delis and bodegas and stuff like that. And it reminded her of her childhood. And, she starts talking about her teenage years. And as she's talking about her teenage years, I don't know if he's just genuinely disinterested or if he just has more of a flat affect. Because whenever he talks to her, he's just like, and I'm like, it's not, a dental exam. Like, you can give a little bit more, right? Because he has all his insecurities and stuff as well. So the thing is that, okay, so what I observed from this last night, and oh yeah, by the way, this is CT over the NYC Indian, reviewing Married at First Sight. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe. This is coming to you from from an urban Native American perspective, a mixed perspective, and a secular perspective. So let's go to the secular part here for a second, from my perspective as a secular person. So she mentioned that, so we know her mom's Italian, so I'm assuming Catholic, and her dad's Jewish. And she mentioned that she went to Catholic school. So, I definitely can relate to this part. I had that in my upbringing as well. And I remember there was just something that was so heavy with Catholicism as a kid. I just remember feeling guilty about everything. Just guilt. About the smallest things. And even as an adult, I still internalize guilt in a way that I feel that is almost unhealthy. Because, you think you're the worst person in the world for the smallest infraction. Even stuff like, I'm not the best at math, right? And I still really, really, really feel so terribly about that. And every relationship I go into, I always used to say like, oh, I'm so bad at math. I'm so bad at math. They just be looking at me like, so what? You got a job, you got a career, you're doing fine, right? So this is why I'm we're going to go into a little bit more later on, but I'm like, why is she so focused on these teenage years? It just doesn't make sense to me. I feel like every episode she is reliving about how bratty she was and how much she used to lie and stuff like that. And especially when you grow up Catholic, like lying and stuff like that. You go to the priest and you tell the priest, oh, I sinned and oh, I lied when I said this and I really meant that and stuff like that. And she was saying that her parents did not give her a lot of boundaries. They give her a lot of love, a lot of support, but not a lot of boundaries. Okay, that's fine. Can we move the fuck on from that? Okay, enough of that. I'm so tired of hearing about this child, or not even early childhood, about your teen years. Woman, are you in your 30s? I don't know how old Nicole is, but she's old enough to kind of, I feel like we need to kind of move on from that. But maybe she needs to get some professional help in that regard, because maybe she just can't move on. I'm tired of hearing about the teenage stories. And I can understand him being a little checked out too, because he's like, God, are we going to talk about your trauma again? You get tired of that, right? So hold on one second. I'm trying to see, guys, if I can get back in here so I can get back in with the, get the chat going up on here. This thing is always giving me a hard time. I swear. Of course, you're not going to make it easy for me today. All right. So anyway, we'll just keep on doing what we're doing here. So anyway, all right. So let's move on. We're going to move on to Clint and Gina. So they go to a soccer field and, they're talking, it doesn't seem like it's really going anywhere, but she mentions that she feels as though, she sees some qualities in him and she's feeling a little bit more attracted to him. And I said, oh, okay. Not that I was believing that, but all right, sure. So Eris, so Jasmine, she's all closed off, right? And he takes her to like the sports memorabilia place. Memorabilia? Is it memorabilia? Memorabilia? I don't know how to pronounce that. But anyway, so, he's there, surrounded by baseball players, all on the walls. And he shows her his collection of baseball cards. And, that's something very important to him. And now it seems like he's trying to dig a little bit deeper. But you know what? Jasmine is like, she has pieced out, all right? The poor girl, she's just felt completely, she's just felt so bad throughout this entire process. So gung-ho, so in it. I don't even think she would really even care that much what he looked like. I think she was one of those people who would have just went it head on and, kind of like Nicole, right? But because she has felt so defeated by him, she just, like, something is just drained out of her, and we don't see Nicole really looking the same way. And, it's really sad. So, I think that now that he sees her pulling back, he's like, oh, wait a minute, you're not into me? Hold on, I thought we had a vibe here where, you sweat me 100% of the time, and I sit here and tell you every 5 minutes how I'm not freaking attracted to you. That's what I thought was going on, right? But apparently he didn't get the memo that she checked out. And all that, the look of being checked out. I mean, if there was a look for that, he used to have it all the time when she would be talking, he'd just be like looking around and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, whatever. So we noticed that like an episode ago, but now it's really starting to kick in. And, he wants more from her, but why does she need to dig deep? She needs to put on her freaking tennis shoes and get the hell out of there. That's what she needs to do. So, she just he reiterates basically, he feels that the reason he, runs away from things and stuff, he can't commit to things is because, his childhood with his dad and blah, blah, blah. So basically he's kind of like, he'll start off like he's going real deep. And Jasmine, why aren't you going deep alongside with me? Why are you not like, come on, don't you see I'm trying to give of myself? And then he'll start off there, and then he'll start saying, like how he is deficient in one particular area, and then he'll always end off with, and this is why I can never be committed, aka this is why I can never be committed to you, why I don't want you, I don't like you, I can't make myself like you because, I miss my father, and so I'll never be able to like you. I mean, come on, you can kick rocks. He just like, he thinks this is cute. It's kind of like, what was her name? Alexis. Remember Alexis and Justin last season? Remember she would always say like she's a track star, and she would always like giggle about it and stuff like that. And I think that's kind of what he does in a way. Like, you know what? I can't, I can't stay around. I can't hang around for too long. I can't, I have a problem. Whatever. He's so boring at this point. So now let's go over to Kirsten. So she takes Kirsten to her childhood home. And this is the first that we've even seen her like kind of crack open the door of like who she is, right? Because she's so closed off. And she starts talking about her parents' divorce and how that affected her. And, this is the room we used to sleep in, and that room over there. She's kind of giving him a tour from the outside. I guess it's probably occupied with a new family. She can't go inside. And then she starts to go into why she felt that Shaquille should be ready to buy her a home. And she says that her dad, no matter what was going on, he was a provider, and he made sure that they had everything. And she does seem a little bit spoiled, right? She looks like she didn't want for anything growing up. And he's sitting here like listening to her, and she's explaining what kind of person her father is. But here's the thing, Kirsten, it's unfair. Because she's saying it as if she wants him to emulate her dad, but she hasn't even introduced him to her family. Now, I know her dad is not with the whole married at first sight thing, and I get that. But what about the rest of the family? She's treating him like someone she's dating, Oh, I don't want to take him home until I know he's going to stick around. You married him, not in secret. This wasn't a secret ceremony. You want to just kind of, lay in the cut and see how it goes until you tell everybody you're married in case you need a divorce. No, you married on national television. Everyone knows that you're married. So why is it he's not getting to meet your people? Like, that is, man, that's such a red flag to me. I mean, I'm sorry. So, you can't have those expectations of your father. Maybe you'd say, listen, the reason that I want you to buy a home is because this is what I expect in a marriage. These are my expectations. And this is because I grew up with my dad. Not, my dad knew what he wanted, and therefore, almost like saying, you should know what you want. I do agree with that, but don't connect it with your dad in that sense. You can just say that I want this for myself because I had this growing up, but not I want this for myself because I had this growing up, and therefore you should be like X, Y, and Z. when he hasn't even set eyes on the guy. He probably doesn't even know, if she got her chin or her, her ear shape from him, because she doesn't even know the guy. I mean, it's too much. So anyway, yeah. So then, she said that she needs, basically from him, she needs more assurance before she introduces him to her father. And I'm like, oh God, all right, enough of this, enough. So next scene, Gina takes Clint to where? Hair school, of course, her cosmetology school, because that is her absolute blood, soul. That is her lymph nodes. That is the serum in her white blood cells or whatever. I mean, she's just that. She lives and breathes her career. And I mean, I think Clint knew it, but I think he probably got a better sense of that, or at least I did last night, because it's like, of all places, why take him to the beauty school when it's very obvious that you're already so immersed in that. And I mean, I understand, I did hair for a long time. I mean, I loved doing hair. I mean, it was so much fun. I mean, I loved the lifestyle, I loved my coworkers. We were like family. And no other career that I ever did since then, as much as I love my career now, it was nothing like being a hairstylist. It is a fun job. And so, I mean, I can relate to that, but I mean, you can't, just like bog the person you're with down with like constant, career stuff. Because if he was doing that with his sailing every 13 seconds, then wouldn't you be complaining, well, I'm not getting to know the real you. I'm only getting to know your hobby, or, whatever his former career was. He was a pilot, wasn't he? A pilot? I think that's what he said. He was a pilot before he got into to IT or whatever. So anyway, so now they have to read a letter to their younger selves. And Jasmine reads a letter about how she was bullied. And this is the thing. That's why I made the video about Jasmine and her new smile. And I really wanted to encourage, like positive comments and stuff like that, because, I felt before she even got into the whole bully thing, like when she was reading that letter, do you guys remember, I don't know if you guys caught the after party show a couple of weeks ago, and she was saying that, she had a hard time as a kid and like her self-esteem. So, it hurts to see that, she already dealt with self-esteem issues. And I mean, you don't go into a pageant circuit for nothing. I mean, there are whatever reasons you have, but there's some kind of reasons, right? And in her case, it was, she had dealt with self-esteem issues and things like that. Even though she had a good, healthy childhood and everything, she felt those self-esteem issues. And I think she said she went to a different school or whatever, and she was like bullied when she went to a different school. And I just, my heart goes out to her. She's just like, the little lamb this season. Because, I mean, she's trying so hard, but, the guy that she has married just can't see any value in her. And I can understand not being attracted in the beginning. And, maybe, if you have a good enough a relationship, you can say, oh, well, I tend to like kind of these things or those things. And those can give a person like a subtle hint. And then, oh, maybe, maybe that person will make some of those physical changes for you if you do it like respectfully and subtly, and not, like, well, I don't date redheads. So, you might want to find some, blonde dye and take care of, what I mean? Not to that extreme. But I feel as though I just want to uplift her in positivity, because I just think she is a pure soul. Any man would be so lucky to have her. She's just a really sweet person. So I'm happy for her and her makeover and everything. Like, I mean, nothing can stop her. Nothing can stop her, right? So, no one's perfect physically, but I just feel as though he just never gave her a chance to begin with. I'm talking about Eris. I mean, when you get married at first sight, some of these shows like Love is Blind, it's kind of like showing us that, no matter how much we try to say that we don't care what a person looks like, most of us do have some sort of standard in mind as to what we want a person to look like, And, but in this experiment is blind. Your heart has to be open to be able to take somebody, Even Lindsay, her old crazy ass back in, what was it? The Boston season, right? Lindsay was absolutely nuts with Mark the Shark. Remember, she was nuts. But you know what? She would have took any guy. I'm telling you, as long as he looked decent, she would have took any guy. Nicole, they could have given her anybody. She thinks Chris is the finest thing to walk out of the gates of wherever. I don't know. But she sees it in him because, I mean, and Chris is not a bad looking guy. It's just that she's able to see deeper beauty in him because her mind is so open, and her heart is so open as well. So now, and again, I apologize, guys, if you cannot reach me in the chat. Like I said earlier, I don't know what's going on. I can't enable the chat this morning. All right, now Shaquille's family. So they meet up with Shaquille's family, and they describe him as like this person who really kept the family together. And, you know, after there were deaths in the family, things like that, they just wanted to make sure that, you know, the family gatherings were still going on. And he was the one that facilitated that. Like, he was the one to make sure that, you know, they're still doing as much as they can as a family and not kind of like spreading out and doing their own thing. And I didn't know that about Shaquille. And I think that is that is like a really, really awesome trait in a person. Because, you know, I mean, every family has that person. And those people tend to be like, sometimes in some families, if there is not that kind of person that's always doing that stuff, families really can just grow apart. Now you know, one's living on this side of town, the other one's moved to a couple cities over. Next thing you know, their kids grow up and go to college out of state. They don't come back in, and then now this family's all spread around the country. So it is nice that he like possesses that quality, and she recognizes that in him. Because remember, Kristen says she really wants to have family, but girlfriend, if you want all this family and all this, you know, wonderful family gatherings and stuff like that, you're going to have to actually, I don't know, introduce him to someone from your side of your genetic gene pool. I'm sorry. So you guys, listen, Kirsten gets me talking to my last breath sometimes. You know, I want to see a little bit more from her, because it seems as though she's attracted to him at this point. So it seems as though she wants to, you know, go further and do like the normal steps of what, you know, is considered to be normal, and I guess in her family or in the area that she lives in, for, you know, a marriage. So you can't expect all that stuff from him, and you can't even, like, God, you got to introduce him to your family, girl. You got to wake up. So anyway, Clint and Gina, so her staff comes over, and, you know, once again, it's him surrounded by her salon environment. So we've seen him entertain girls from the salon once before. We've seen him take an official tour of the salon. We've seen him go to her cosmetology school. And now we're seeing him once again with the girls in the salon. And I just, you know, I mean, I understand if those are your close friends, but I mean, you know, it felt more like a praise parade. Just people that are around her that are saying what a great boss she is, and how, you know, she's a wonderful educator, and how she, you know, never leaves you hanging, you know, when you don't know if you need to rinse out those highlights in another 5 minutes, because now they're starting to turn green. Like, she, you know, they just seem to like really be, I mean, and that's good that they support her, but those are your employees, all right? That's different if these are just like straight up coworkers. This is your staff. You are in charge of them. So, I mean, that kind of perspective is like, I mean, I didn't get anything from that. You know, we could have gotten all of that with one trip, just one, to the salon. I didn't need to see the not the coworkers, but the employees at the house 2 times. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's hard because it is so intertwined with her life, and I feel that she cannot, you know, I'm not saying she has to completely separate that, because like I said, I was in that position where I was so immersed in my life in the salon, but I didn't own a salon or anything like that. But, you know, I had to make sure I was careful too, because I lived and breathed doing hair. I love doing color and cut and blah, blah, blah. But, you know, that's not what everyone else is into. And how can a person get to know you if you're only talking, you know, surface level about, you know, business stuff, right? I don't know. I feel like even if she had gotten the right guy, that she would have been physically attracted to, I don't think Gina really would have necessarily been ready for this. I think maybe, and I don't want to say a woman can't have it all. She can't have her own business and a partner and everything like that, but I think that she needs to maybe, learn some tools or something like that on, for her next relationship. Because listen, you cannot convince me that these two are going to stay together. All right. I'm not convinced. I'm sorry. I'm just not convinced. So, for the next relationship that she gets into, well, she'll probably be able to take some feedback because she's going to get a lot of heat. And I know she's already getting heat now because it's too much about the salon, the salon, the salon. Some people think she's on there promoting. And I was like on her side, right? I was like, no, I mean, come on. She's not going to go on a TV show just to promote a salon or something like that. And I still don't believe that that was her sole intent. But it is starting to feel like maybe, she's just like, okay, well, this marriage is not working out. At least I can get some good press out of it. Right? Why not? That's what I'm thinking. So, yeah, I mean, and, Clint was a complete trooper with the girls. He's very good at entertaining, because he knows how to cook and he's, he makes jokes and stuff like that. And, he seemed to be having a really good time. And just looking at them in that frame, just like in that, that little, I was like, okay, these two could be like really good buddies. And I mean, hey, they live in the same building. Why not? But boyfriend and girlfriend, husband and wife, I don't see it. I don't see it. So, all right. So Chris and Nicole, so he takes her to a paint store, and I didn't catch if that paint store was the same paint store that his family owned, but his dad owned some kind of paint store, and they grew up working for him and his siblings, and I guess some of them are still in the family business, from what I understood, and he had a really negative experience because his father was a perfectionist, and he felt like he never lived up to his father's standard. And here comes Nicole, honey, got that cape on. She was all ready. She was like, all right. She got that cape. She's like, and you are the strongest and amazing. And anyone, she does not miss a minute to give him some kind of support. She's always uplifting him and everything. And I'm like, you know what? If she just kind of calmed down on all that teenage trauma talk, you know what I'm saying? And he kind of manned up a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Then maybe they could kind of make this work. But I think, she's A, scaring him, and B, maybe boring him a little bit with all of the teenage talk. It's just too much. You know what I mean? This is a relationship, not a therapy session. And he can get a little bit too much with that too, which I don't like. I mean, where's the romance? Where's the spark? I mean, you guys initially, unlike everybody else, these two are the only ones that had the initial, Dom and, okay, let me correct. Dom and Mac did have attraction initially. All right, but we know what happened with that. So Nicole and Chris had their immediate chemistry, as well as, they've been doing pretty well, I guess, compared to everyone else, relatively speaking. So it's like, with all that stuff, aren't you guys just supposed to be drinking champagne and figuring out where the dogs are gonna go and still somewhat of a honeymoon, just a little bit. I mean, I know you're back into reality. You got to figure out logistics and things for living and, leases and stuff like that. But I mean, I just feel like, I don't know. I just feel like it's just too much, on the downer side of things. If you're going into a relationship with all of that, then maybe you just need to do a little bit more self-work, both of them. Okay, and I still haven't forgotten about what he did with those dogs. Okay, Chris is he's on my S list. I'm telling you, I didn't like what he did with those dogs. And then not only with the dog, because if it was just one thing with the dogs, it'd be one thing, but it was the whole sign my lease for another 9 months. I was like, in the regular dating world, but this is an experiment. You've signed up for marriage. How do you go back to living in separate places? I mean, some couples do it, but the couples that do that live in separate places, they're on their second, third marriage already, and maybe they, they're older, they're retired. Hey, Dr. Pepper does it, right? And apparently it works for her. But starting off in the beginning, living separately after you've already lived together, this is not 90 Day Fiance where you're just doing Skype calls and you're waiting to be in the same time zone. I'm not down with that. I don't know. I think it's too much. But so anyway, of course she's, telling him, he's good and everything like that. And then he starts saying something positive about her and in the relationship, and now he knows what he wants, blah, blah, blah. So now Eris and Jasmine and Shaquille and Kirsten, they all go out together. And they go to this little tag game where it's instead of, paintball, they used to have paintball, but now it's they did it with like bows and arrows and stuff. So they looked like they were having a good time, you know, couple bonding or whatever. But here's the thing. So when it was time for no, when it was time for Kirsten to use the bathroom or something, her and Eris were gone. So it was just what's his name? Oh my God. Shaquille. Sorry. It was just Shaquille and Jasmine. And this was a scene that we got from a couple of weeks ago with her sitting on a car, you know. And I was like, where are they? So they're sitting and talking. And he's like, you know, I'm not trying to hit on you or anything like that, but you're absolutely beautiful. And, you know, you should be appreciated and everything like that. And remember, like, okay, did you guys like check out the smile on her face? It was like that bashful kind of like, you know, it was really like coquettish and cute. And I was like, oh my God, poor Jasmine. We have not seen her have any life in her face since, I don't know, the day after the wedding day. That was the last time we saw her giggle and kind of like try and, you know, hide her smile. And you know, I mean, that little light came back on just for a second. And I thought to myself, okay, I'm not saying that they should have did a partner swap or anything like that, because it seems like him and Kirsten are finally at least getting over the attraction hump. So, okay, all right. I mean, that's fine, but it was just interesting to me because, you know, she was finally getting like some kind of affirmation of her beauty, you know, which she just does not get with Eris. And, you know, Shaquille's not stupid. He knows Eris is an asshole. So anyway, you know, they're just like, I don't know. I'm just, you know, when I see Eris and like his eye contact that he had when he was talking to Kirsten, now that was a little something interesting too. Because I said, oh, okay, so now Kirsten, because, you know, so Kirsten and Eris were over at some other area. And, you know, we rarely see Eris even look Jasmine in the eye, right? We rarely see that. But he was full like this with Kirsten. And I was like, oh, okay. And of course I had all my little, you know, tinfoil hat conspiracy theories in the beginning of the series. I said, okay, well, is this going to be like a case where, you know, he's attracted to Dominique? Because that's what I was wondering in the beginning. But no, that didn't seem to happen. But Kirsten, I could see him going for Kirsten because Kirsten has the body shape that, you know, what's his name? Eris claims to say, you know, that he likes or whatever. But, you know, I'm sure if they would have gave him Kirsten at the altar too, he still would have found something wrong with her as well. I mean, both of those girls are cute girls. So anyway, I mean, let's see. So, okay, so Eris, now it's time for him to read a letter from his father. And Jasmine is looking like, oh God, not another activity. Do we have to do this? Have you not figured out I'm checked the fuck out of this process? It was funny. But I mean, you know, later on she was receptive to what he was saying, and she was, you know, opening up a little bit more towards the end. But I still feel like it's too little too late, Eris. I think you really just bombed that ocean liner into the freaking sea. I think it's done. I think it's gone. I think she's just, you know, not only is it, you know, it's one thing to like be rejected, but you're being rejected on national television, and it is the price that you possibly pay, and you know the risk that you take when you sign up to go on a blind reality marriage show, right? So she took that risk, right? But you know, we're talking about, you know, her being bullied and like having self-esteem issues, you know, becoming a beauty queen, you know, doing things to make herself feel good about herself, right? And to see all that kind of play out, you know, so now she's like, you know, she's at a place where she's feeling much better about herself, and people are, you know, validating her beauty, which she didn't feel like she had before. And, you know, now you're at heaven's gate, right? Here you are. Here's the husband dropped right in front of you. So you've done the work, you've got your education, you got a good job, you got a side hustle with the dog grooming, you got all this stuff going on. And now the man that has been promised to you has basically rejected you. So, I mean, you know, I just feel like all of that piled up together, she's just not into it. And you can't blame her. You just can't blame her. So, anyway, so we end off with Kirsten and Shaquille. And, he's mad. He's still upset about the fact that she expects him to buy her a home. And, and one of the things that, when Kirsten was speaking with Shaquille, and Shaquille was saying, like, I don't know, she wants me to, like, get her a house. And she's like, well, yeah, what else would you expect? I mean, that's what a woman would expect. And these girls are from the South, honey. This is not, listen, listen. I've lived up north, I've lived down south, and there are some differences. And, when it comes to the South, there's certain things that people still hold to be very standard, traditional, not as much of the, I don't know if I want to say the millennial style of dating, because, we hear about the millennials and their statistics and how they are just absolutely not interested in marriage. And, I don't know how that, I'd like to see a little bit more data on that, like regionally, because, in the South, I think those girls still expect their husbands to buy them houses, right? And Kirsten was like, yeah, because my friends' husbands, they buy them cars and homes. And it's like, yeah, well, that's what you do in a normal marriage. I mean, I wouldn't settle for less either, but I mean, that's just me. But the thing is, it's just that she hasn't given enough of herself for him to feel confident. You know what I mean? Because even if he just doesn't have the money for something like that, then he should at least feel like, oh, I'm going to work towards this. Oh, we're going to put ourselves a 1-year plan together, and we're getting that house, because he's feeling close to, to her. But I just feel as though she didn't, I don't know. She was so slow opening up. And now that you guys have consummated, it's like all of a sudden, okay, give me a house. You know what I mean? It's like, I understand saying, hey, listen, the leases are coming up. We got to kind of see where we're at. It's a hard place to be, because there just wasn't really enough time for him to get really so deep in with her, because of her walls that she had up. So now he's feeling like, oh my God, I have to buy a house in 3 months. Well, listen, if you want to keep her, Shaquille, you just may have to. All right. You may have to now officially enter the accelerated speed, right, for your process now. You may just have to do it, because I don't think she's going to. Do you see her living in an apartment? I don't see it. I just don't see it. So we'll see. That's kind of interesting. I mean, listen, my initial prediction from the very beginning is that only one couple was going to stay together. And that wasn't based off of any spoilers or anything. That was just my knee-jerk reaction. And then I always reassess as I go throughout the season and stuff. But I mean, I'm still looking at it, and I kind of feel like they're not going to work out. And I could be wrong. And if I'm wrong, then he better start. I hope his credit score is where it needs to be, because, they were talking about financing and stuff like that. He's got to have it together. And she's a realtor, so she knows what's out on the market, and she knows like where the good houses are and everything. So she has high expectations. And I mean, she's a pretty girl, and she was very, very particular when we first met her and everything. So I don't see her really settling for anything less. Is this going to be enough time for him, though, to feel like he can catch up to where she's at? Because he's just barely at okay, we just finally were able to be physical with one another. So, now you want a house? Yeah, she wants a house. Because you know what, Shaquille, in the cloud, in the midst of all the walls and her not introducing and all this nonsense that she's doing, I forgot to mention, you guys did get married. So, that's just where I'm at on that. But anyway, that was very fun, guys. I apologize again for the chat. Hopefully that will be up next week. I don't know what is going on. Thank you to all my subscribers and all the new people that have joined as well. It's so nice to see you guys. I will be back with you on Thursday. No, today's Thursday. Sorry. I'll be back with you on Saturday for Love After Lockup, because, honey, it is getting juicy over at the WeTV section of the internet. Oh my God, salacious. And I will see you on Monday. Oh my, I'm just so excited, guys, because these shows, like, sometimes you get like seasons where there are just absolute duds, and it's just like I'm grinding my teeth trying to get through a season. And let me tell you something about me. Okay, well, let me not digress too much. On Monday, I will be back for 90 Day Fiancé and Seeking Brother Husband, which are both TLC shows. Seeking Brother Husband is a new show about polyandry, which is about the women having multiple husbands. And sometimes, like, if you guys go back in some of my other videos, you'll see that some seasons I'm only doing one show, maybe two shows, not that much. And I cannot fabricate, I'm not going to just, like, make up stuff and talk through, bore you guys with something that I'm not interested in. It has to be fun and I have to be excited about it. So, sometimes some seasons will be drier than others, but if a season is like really, really a dud, then I just won't do it. And then we'll just do a different show. So, I mean, let's just meet up back on Sunday, or no, on Saturday. I can never keep up with these shows because it's just like a constant rotation, right? I don't even know when the shows are ending. I had to wait for you guys in the chat to tell me even when Decision Day was coming. That's pretty poor on my part, isn't it? But anyway, that's it, guys. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're staying safe, taking care of yourselves, and I will see you on Saturday. Chipi Salacho.